Bruce Goslin, brother of Spooner High School graduate and fallen Vietnam veteran Gregg Goslin, whom the Spooner AMVETS Post 190 is named after, recently presented a plaque in honor of his brother that included an etching of Goslin, his medals, and the story of how he was killed in action attempting to save his commanding officer.
The Post always wanted a picture of my brother in some military wear, and we had nothing except for his class picture. My mother died in January, and after I went through her things, I found a very small photograph that was taken in a kiosk in the Minneapolis airport when he was shipped overseas. And I had that picture scanned and cut out into this image that they produced an etching of. And also I wrote an email to, I found the 4 people that were killed the same day he was, and I wrote an email to these people that were contacts, 2 sisters of 2 men that were killed with him, and the son of the commanding officer, Captain Springer, and asked them what they knew, because I had no information. My brother had won the Bronze Star, and I didn't know why he had won the Bronze Star, and that I was coming to Spooner, and I'd written to the Defense Department, and it was going to be 6 months to find out what happened, and if anybody knew anything, please tell me. Immediately I received emails back from them, and it turns out that Charles Springer's son has done a lot of research, had come all the way to Spooner to find my family about 10 years ago, to find out if they could to meet me and my parents. And he had done the research about what had happened, and it turns out that what I learned from him, the reason my brother won the Bronze Star, is that they were pinned down in a firefight. They had walked into a whole series, a horseshoe of bunkers, and they were getting ready to take a break and have lunch before they started their search and destroy mission. And that in ensuing battle, all of a sudden, just as they say, all hell broke loose. Chaos from all sides, machine gun fire, automatic weapons fire, and Captain Springer was hit and went down. My brother was his radio telephone operator. He dropped his radio and ran forward to try to save his commanding officer. He was killed, and then one of his other specialist fours went to try to save both of them, and he was killed, and they all died in that battle together. And so once I learned that story, I decided to put this plaque together with the etching of my brother, with his Bronze Star, with his Purple Heart, and to tell the story of what happened to him and why the AMVETS Post was named in his honor. And this has been 45 years this November that he was killed, and is the first that we all found out what had happened and why he won the Bronze Star.
What was that like, that experience for your family?
It's the worst experience of my life, clearly, and it was horrifying. It was just like the world ended that day for our family, and I wanted to hope it wasn't true. That they sent the officers to my parents' house, and they said he was wounded. And I thought, well, wounded, he's not killed, he might still be alive, and I didn't understand all that at that time. And it was a Sunday night, and I had just come home from across the street with some friends, and my parents were both crying, and I was like, well, what's going on here? And they showed me the telegram and said, your brother's gone, he was killed. And it was just horrifying. And so we went through the funeral and everything that went with that, and it just ruined my family's lives. And we stayed in Spooner until the end of my junior year, and it was so difficult being here. As much as we all love Spooner, my parents and myself just felt like everywhere we looked we saw my brother. It was like an image, like a ghost on every corner, and it was just, my parents couldn't take it, and they just said, we need to have a fresh start and go get a life that we can not have all this pain with us. And so my dad knew a guy, Chuck Ockenick, in the State Patrol, and he got him a job. He was retired from 30 years in the post office and 30 years in the military himself, and he was given a job in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, in the driver's license bureau, and we picked up and moved to Manitowoc, Wisconsin, and lived there. Well, he was very smart, smarter than I was. I always wished I had his brains. He was a very quiet guy. He was a very humble man. He played basketball. He liked to hunt. He liked to fish. He studied hard, and that's probably the primary thing I remember, is that he always studied. He was on the honor roll. He always got good grades. He was very patriotic, and I think that's emboldened in what happened in this story, where he was sent to bomb-holder Germany at the height of the Vietnam War, and he could have stayed there, and he felt like it was a waste of time, that I'm here to serve my country, there's a war raging, and I'm sitting here in Germany, and he chose to volunteer to go to Vietnam. And strangely enough, he had 3 other buddies that agreed, and they said, we're all going to do this together, and we're going to tell them we want out of Germany, it's crappy and raining, and we're going out on maneuvers every day and not feeling like we're serving our country. And so they volunteered to go to Vietnam, and he got up that day, and they went into the commanding officer's office, and he looked around, and he was the only one there. And the other 3 guys changed their mind and decided not to go, and he stepped up and said, I want to do this. And so he came home for about a week, and frankly, I was very angry at him that he had done that, because I just was so worried that something horrible could happen, as it was happening every day on the news. And indeed, he went off to Vietnam. We took him to the airport in Minneapolis, and he flew off, and the next time he came home, he was in a coffin.
What does it mean to you and your family to have this post named after him?
It's tremendous. It meant so much to my parents to have him honored like that, that they were so proud. I was proud. They were lifelong members of the Post. I've helped the Post financially to get off the ground and to be able to support the scholarships and things that they have for all the kids in Spooner that they give these scholarships to. And it's just been a tremendous lift. I'm so proud of what he did, and even more proud now, after all this time, to learn why he was awarded the Bronze Star. I mean, my life changed so much overnight, and it was, I put it in a box, and I knew my brother was killed, and I was angry, and I was sad, and just figured I had to get through this somehow. And I'm so pleased now. Unfortunately, neither of my parents know the rest of the story that I've researched as to why he was awarded the Bronze Star for bravery, and that means a lot. But this Post has done so much in this community, and I hope it's going to continue, and I hope that this is also just a way for new members of the Post to come in and understand more why this Post is named after my brother and what he did to